Check this out. Some of hockey's biggest names got together Friday to raise money for victims of Superstorm Sandy and teach hockey skills at the same time. Brad Richards and several members of the New York Rangers took to the ice with Hockey Stars of Tomorrow on Staten Island. Each youngster had $75 donated by friends and family in order to take part in the skating and hockey clinic. All proceeds support Hurricane Sandy victims. Great effort there.
And right now it's time for our winter weather update. Dr. Greg Postel standing by. Greg, we've been talking a lot about all these storms pounding the northwest coast here, but what does that mean for the middle of the country here? What are we going to see there?
A lot of warm weather. In fact, probably east of the Continental Divide, that's where the biggest warm temperatures will be for the next several days, most likely through much of next week. But let's get to that stormy weather in the west, because it is incredibly stormy, actually. If you look at satellite animation here, you can see how fast these clouds are blasting into the west. The jet stream winds there are over 150 miles an hour, right in this little core right in here. I just saw some observations at just over 150 miles an hour. A lot of times when that happens, when you get this sort of a little bit of a dent in the jet stream here on the west coast, which is what you were talking about, Jen, is that you get this big ridge developing in the middle part of the country, and that's exactly what's happening. We're seeing this big warm-up downstream of that stormy condition in the west. Let's look at those storms out west, that stormy weather, and probably the biggest thing that comes out is the tight packing of these lines. Look at these individual lines. These are isobars, lines of constant pressure, and when they're closer and closer together, that means the winds are very strong, and what we're getting is a very strong wind coming in off the ocean, so the air is not very cold. We're seeing snow levels not particularly low. They're right about 3,000 feet right about now, and that's partly because there was a little bit of a cold front that moved through over the last 12 hours, this one right here, and brought just a little bit of cool air behind it, but again, not much because it's come off the water in the Pacific. So that is why the snow levels are right now at 3,000, but they're going to come up a little bit later on today and tonight as some warmer air moves in. This is a low pressure trough right in here. I didn't mention this last time, but what's happening here is the westerly winds are coming down the mountain range here, coming down in elevation, and they're warming, so we're getting a little warm pocket right in here, and that is likely to be the location where some very warm temperatures are going to be this afternoon, associated with a downsloping wind. That's what that's called. So later on this afternoon and tonight, we see that cold front that was earlier there, that kind of dissipated, and we're still left with that pressure trough because we still have those westerly winds at low levels coming down the slopes there, the eastern slopes of the Rockies. But we have another warm front coming in, bringing in much milder Pacific air into the region, and that will raise snow levels tonight and tomorrow to likely 5,000 or 6,000 feet. But look at how much rain is coming in from the low latitudes here, from southern areas here. It just keeps coming and coming into the coast. I think 3 to 5 inches of rain is easily possible along the coast here of Oregon and Washington, especially where these little long training echoes come in from the Pacific Ocean, but also very gusty winds as well. I think the windiest day will be tomorrow over the next couple of days, with wind gusts perhaps on the coast as much as 70 miles per hour. There are lots of high wind warnings already along the coast of Washington and Oregon right in here as well, and high wind watches and wind advisories farther inland. But downstream from that, eastward from all that stormy weather in the west, we have this ridging in the east in the jet stream, this kind of bulge in the jet stream. That is associated with the development of a relatively warm air mass that we're going to see today and continuing through the middle of next week. Here's Wednesday. Look at the high forecasted on Wednesday, 60 mini with a record at 67. Des Moines, we're supposed to be 65 with a record of 74 degrees. But on Thursday, we're going to get a little bit closer to those records. I think the records are within reach because the forecast risk, I think, is to go a little bit warmer than those numbers, and it looks like this warm air is going to stick around in the middle part of the country for at least a little while. There is some cold air bottled up in Canada, but I think that's just it. It is bottled at least for the near future. It doesn't look like anytime soon it's going to be coming down, at least across much of the United States. It's going to be a long while before it does that. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah, and want to share some amazing video. A tornado caught on camera in southern mainland Portugal. It shows a stadium being damaged by a tornado, fence being ripped loose there, satellite dish blown over, and some scary moments there. Of course, we tell you to stay away from windows.
Yeah, this is a little too close for comfort. Stay safe, everyone.